Hey everybody, this is Jewelyn and
Grandma.
welcome back to the channel and welcome to our third annual, is it our third annual?
Yeah.
Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards, and in today's video we are going to be highlighting 12 plant babies that did good in the collection here in Santa Monica for the year 2021. By the time this video goes up, we will be well into January and the new year, so hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different compared to our last two Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards because of my crazy schedule this past year of not really being around with the collection, splitting my time with Santa Monica, Las Vegas, and traveling with the shop. And for the vlog channel, we are going to just share 12 plants in no particular order, and they are all winners in today's video.
Yes.
In the past, we've narrowed it down to highlighting 12 plants and picking 3 to pin an award to. But this year we're gonna make it different because it was definitely a rough year for them with me not being home, and the weather, it just dumped a huge several days of rain on the plants. But they survived. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and in no particular order we are going to highlight 12 plants, and I'm pretty sure these 12 plants have been featured in a previous Pot of Fame, which is my monthly series on the vlog channel. I'm pretty sure most of the plants in today's video has been highlighted in previous Pot of Fames, which is my monthly series where I highlight a handful of plant babies every month that do good and thrive in the collection. So are you ready, Grandma, for 12 plant babies to be showcased in today's video?
Forever ready.
Okay, so without further ado, it was a mixture of Grandma and I picking the plants for today's video. I wanted a variety of plants, not just house plants, but cacti and succulents as well. Right, plant baby number 1. This is my beautiful pothos. This is the Manjula, and I had this plant for a while now. I believe it was gifted to me from one of you guys, if I'm not mistaken. It was really tiny when I first got it, I believe in the mail, and it's been doing really well. And it's one of those plants where I really didn't talk about it this year, but it's one of those plants that never really gave me any drama. This plant has been living on my plant shelf, and honestly I didn't think I was gonna highlight this plant baby for Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards, but being that it's doing really well, I see like a trail happening here, so that's pretty exciting for the plant. Some new leaf unfurling. I wanted to give this plant a spotlight for Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. Grandma, what do you think about the beautiful variegated markings on it?
Well, I really like the way it thrive, in a sense, to where I never seen this type of leaf, never. Yeah, so it kind of has like a round chubby look compared to like, and the design, let's say like a heart leaf philodendron where it's a little bit more thinner, and then the Manjula also has that like splash variegation to it, which is so interesting when it comes to these trailing plants like the Snow Queen and the Marble Queen pothos. And even like there's just so many cool variety when it comes to variegated trailing plants, but this one in particular I love a lot because of just the type of shape of leaf it is compared to like a heartleaf philodendron, and also the different splashes on it. So it kind of gives me like, if the, I want to say like if this is like a Snow Queen, if the Snow Queen had a baby, say for instance with like a Brazil maybe, then you would get the Manjula. That's kind of how I feel, and you'll see my Philodendron Rio and Brazil in today's video as well. So I'm trying to pick a bunch of variety of plants to show in today's video because I don't want to do 12 house plants. I think that wouldn't be fair for the collection, because I do have a fair amount of cacti and succulents in the collection. But here's plant baby number 1 of 12 in today's video. This lives full-time in the Santa Monica studio. Right, so here's something different. This plant lives outside and it lives in the front of the home, and this Crested Eve's needle is such a cool plant. I shared it, I know, on a recent Pot of Fame. I've had this plant for I don't know, well over 5-6 years. It's one of those plants where it kind of just keeps to itself, very low maintenance plants. It survived my crazy schedule this year, and you can see tons of new growth to it, and I just love the shape and quirkiness of it. I think when it comes to cacti, I kind of get gravitated towards the weird ones, so this is definitely something I wanted to highlight in Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. It's such a quirky plant. Comment down below if you have the Crested Eve's needle
and how big is yours and where are you styling it. I think this plant would also do good in the Las Vegas collection, but I'm gonna continue to keep it in Santa Monica in the front of the home. So very fun plant to showcase in this year's Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. What do you think about this one, Grandma?
Well, the shape and the way it's grown, it's totally different from all the others.
Yes, and I also have it in a low terracotta bowl. I think it works well with the aesthetic of the plant. Very interesting to look at. This will make a very good coffee table plant as well. Up next is my beautiful Sansevieria. I believe this is a silver sword. It is large, and this has been living full-time in the Santa Monica studio. This is one of the Sansevierias that I decided to keep inside of the Santa Monica studio versus transitioning a handful of them outside in the patio and in Las Vegas. This one has been doing really well, and if you look up close, there's tons of new growth here, and I just love the variety of the colors of this Sansevieria. You guys know I have a huge Sansevieria collective, and this has been one that I've been just loving having in the collection. I love the long leaves and very easy propagators when it comes to Sansevierias, but this one lives in the studio doing really well, and I'm kind of interested to see if I come across any Sansevierias in the upcoming plant year. But this one has been living in my collection, I want to say for well over a year maybe. I don't think I bought it this year, so it's probably been in my collection for over a year. This is inside of my Santa Monica studio right by the door. And Grandma, have you been enjoying this Sansevieria in the Santa Monica studio?
Yes, that's why I put him there.
Yes, Grandma moved him because he's actually by my love seat, and she moved it recently to the door, and it's probably liking a little bit more sunlight. And that's another reason too why I have Sansevierias in my Santa Monica studio, because it is a very low light environment in my studio with just one window. So this plant works well with the conditions of my space. So that's something to also think about when you incorporate plants. Is the kind of condition that you're putting it in. So far I think it's doing good. All right, here's another Ripsalis. I love these jungle cacti. They're so cool and interesting. I have a huge collective too as well with the Ripsalis, and I just love having them in the collection. They're weird, they're quirky. I have one as well transition in the Las Vegas collective. One of these days, if you guys are interested in seeing what the Las Vegas collective looks like, it's pretty green in my room there. But yes, I do have two of them. So one lives here in Santa Monica and one lives in Las Vegas, and they're both doing good.
I think it's a forest and not a bedroom.
Oh yeah, in Las Vegas, yes. So what do you think about this Ripsalis, Grandma?
Well, when I checked on them when I came back, and I said, oh, they look all crampy, so I had to kind of move them, and so that the arms can grow freely.
Yeah, and there's some new growth here. Yeah. And I had this plant in the collective for quite a while. I want to say this has been with me for at least 2 years. So I really love the plants. Yeah, tons of new growth. This has been living on my little kitchen island by the window for its entirety since I brought it into the collection, and it does pretty well there. So I'm not gonna move it. It's gonna continue to live there, and it's doing really good. I like it also styled in the white square planter. I think the one in Las Vegas, I don't know what planter it's living in now, but it's doing really good as well. So another plant to think about if you are living a crazy lifestyle with me or want a very low maintenance type of plant. Ripsalis is one of those plants where you don't need to do too much plant care to it. It's one of those plants that kind of takes care of itself. Very low maintenance and super funky and cool. So very fun to see this one highlighted in the collection. And believe me, I could highlight all of my Ripsalises because they're so cool and interesting and doing well. But I wanted to choose this one because it's been doing really good in the kitchen window area. So very fun to see. Up next is another beautiful trailing plant. This is my Philodendron Rio, and I had this plant for a while now. As you can see, tons of trails. This one lives in the same shelf as the Manjula. So I have one shelf that's kind of facing my one window in the Santa Monica studio, and as you see, tons of new trails. I want to say the Rio is on the more uncommon side here in my part of the world, and I will share in a second my Philodendron Brazil, which is one of my first trailing houseplants for this current collective, and I can't bring it down, so we're gonna have to go to it. but I do want to highlight both of them because they're very like non-dramatic plants. This plant is thriving. Grandma, what do you think about the beautiful trails and the marking of this reel?
Well, you know, they're so pretty that you just want to let them hang and grow the way they want to.
I know, and that's another thing too with my spaces. I would love to have these plants hanging and trailing from the ceiling, but with my particular studio, I can't have that. So it is trailing on the top of my plant shelf. And so far, like, it's doing so good. I couldn't help not to share this one for Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. Comment down below if you have the Philodendron reel, and do you find it to be common or uncommon in your part of the world. But yeah, I love the way how it's growing, and I like also the aesthetic of the low bowl white planter. I think it works well with this trailing plant. Next is my beautiful chunky watch chain. I wanted to also have variety, like I said, in Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. I can't just choose only house plants, so I wanted to bring in a succulent for today's video. And this plant, as you see, lives outside of the home, so grandma can't help but to clean up the plant while we sit here. But this plant unfortunately gets super trashed with the tree living outside. It's very unfortunate. I'll give it a little spin so you can see its quirkiness. It's such a cool plant. I don't know if we got this one in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
I'm not mistaken.
It's kind of small.
And it is just thriving. It's living in a terracotta planter. A majority of my plants living in the front of the house are in terracotta planters. It's just perfect for these type of hardier plants and outdoors. I try to kind of stay away from doing white ceramic planters for outside in the front of the house. So majority of them are in terracotta, but I love watch chains. I also even had the variegated ones, but with me being gone and stuff like that, they just did not thrive in the collection. I do have another one that's not as chunky as this, doing also well in my collection. So I have two huge ones, but this one I wanted to share in today's video just to show you how big and crazy these plants can get. And it just had a huge rainfall on it, so hopefully it'll be okay. But this plant has been non-dramatic, super easy to maintain with me not really being here this year, and such a fun, interesting, conversational plant as well. So it's like one of those plants that you can just have kind of in the corner and you don't need another plant. This thing is just like, it fills up the space, and it's just very interesting, and the different textures too. So very fun to see, and we'll see when we do our big makeover in the front of the house. I would still like to have this plant also being styled in the front of the house. But comment down below if you have a chunky watch chain like this, and are you into these type of succulents. They're very fun to collect as well. So here is one that is kind of fairly new in the collection. This is my Philodendron painted lady, and I got this as my birthday plant for 2021. This was a purchase that I did in the Bay Area. It was one of those rare expensive plants that I integrated into the collective this year, and I was actually very nervous when I staked up this plant because I didn't know how it was going to take to switching up from being like a trailing type of philodendron, the way how it's styled in the plant shop, to being staked up. And so far I think it's doing good. I see lots of new growth here, so that makes me really happy. And this lives in the studio, and when I'm not home it lives in the shower. So far so good. I think it's doing really well being staked up straight. What do you guys think? Exciting for the collection, and I hope that in the upcoming year it should not give me any problems. That's definitely something that I don't like seeing when it comes to adding plants in the collection. Having plants come and go, but that is part of plant life. I try not to get too upset if a plant doesn't make it in the collection, but this one so far has been with me for about 4 or 5 months and doing really well. So I wanted to highlight it in Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards for the year. This is one of the plants that grandma wanted to be part of Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. This is my Crested Aeonium Sunburst Variegata. I want to say this may have been in a previous Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards, but this is the time of the year for aeoniums where they thrive. They love this time of the year, and this lives in the patio full time. It also does get trashed by the tree, unfortunately, but I'll give it a spin so you can see just an update of the plant. I try to not have repeat plants when it comes to Pot of Fame or the awards, but this one is doing really well. In fact, all of my aeoniums in the collective is doing really well, and one of them actually bloomed for me for the first time this season, and I have all of the blooms dried. I did a few pieces with the blooms this year, and I will be making more in the upcoming plant year. But very fun to see this Crested Aeonium Sunburst Variegata thriving. And I purchased this at a plant nursery, I want to say maybe 2 years or so ago, and I want to say kind of like in between here and San Diego. I stopped by a plant nursery, fell in love with the plant, and I'm a huge fan of Crested Variegated Aeoniums. Like, I love them a lot. I have a few here in the collection in Santa Monica as well as in Las Vegas. So very fun to have an aeonium as part of Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards for the year. I want to highlight all of the aeoniums because they're doing great, but this is the one that we're going to be focusing on today. I can't bring this plant to us, so we're going to talk about it from here. This is an update of my Philodendron Brazil. It is long, traily, and beautiful. I had this plant well over 5 years or so, and it's doing really well. As you see, it trails all the way down. It lives on my patio wall, and it's doing really good. This plant has not given me any drama. At one point it was living by the patio door when I first moved into this space a couple of years ago, but since then I moved it to this part of the patio, and it's doing awesome. And it's one of those plants where I don't really do anything really, and it's thriving. I wanted to give love to a plant that's been with me for several years. Give it a little love for Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. I'm trying to, you know, give you guys a variety of plants that's been with me from short term to long term, and this is one of those plants that has been doing well over the years for me. I love the variegated neon markings on the plant, and I'm kind of curious to see if I ever took the plant down how long the trails is, but it goes all the way down, and it's so super cool to see a pop of color in this part of the collection. There's 2 plants I want to highlight that can't come down and hang out with us for Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. My staghorn fern. This thing was a little baby when I got it a couple of years ago. It's been living in this coco coir basket its entire life, and as you see, it is thriving, living its best life. So definitely wanted to highlight a fern in today's Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. And then I wanted to also highlight a trailing succulent here, and my Senecio Jacobsonii, my trailing jade, is doing really well. Not that much stress on it because the sun is not too strong on it, but I do see a little purple. This has been part of my Pot of Fame this year, and I definitely wanted to highlight it. Super non-dramatic plant and a lot of character to it, so very fun plant babies to have in this year's awards. Alright, so now we're sitting back here to wrap up today's Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards for the year, and this is going to end with my beautiful Monstera albo. Its variegated leaves are amazing, and if you guys are into plants, then you know this is like a very sought out plant to have if you're serious into plants, and it's very rare and expensive. I am loving the way how this plant is growing. It gave me several new leaves, and grandma is like kind of like tending to the plant, but yes, there's a big aerial root here that's dying to wrap around something. I have staked it I think once or twice since it's been with me in the collection, but yes, it has sprouted a bunch of new leaves this year for me. I'm very happy with the progress of this plant. This plant lives with me in the Santa Monica studio, and just like the painted lady, when I'm out of town, it goes in my bathroom shower. Not too much browning, so I am not too stressed out about it. I know it can get worse like my Thai constellation, but this plant is thriving, and I love seeing a few fenestrations in it as well. And I wanted to wrap up Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards with this beautiful variegated Monstera. It's very fun to see Monsteras added into the collection. I hope to find more over the years. Eventually, I would like to stick it up in a bigger moss pole, coco coir pole or moss pole, but I think for now it's doing okay. It's living in a big white planter, and it's been pretty happy living in the studio. So I wanted to share with you just an update of my albo, and of course have it be a shining star of one of the 12 plant babies for the year. Comment down below what do you think about the 12 plants that we chose for Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards? What was your favorite plant? Do you have any of the plants in your collection? And do you think that I chose a good variety of plants to highlight for the year? There's so many plants in the collection that did really well with my schedule this year of not really being around, and also there's been a handful of plants that did not like me being around, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and I'm just going to keep on just maintaining what I have and adding a few babies here and there in the next upcoming year, and we'll see what my plant year will look like. And I'm kind of interested to see how these plant babies will be when I do next year's Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. It'll be fun to see an update. So thank you guys so much for supporting the channel for another plant year here in Santa Monica. And stay tuned because I will do maybe a little plant tour for the Las Vegas Collective. And once Grandma and I do the whole shift with the front of the studio and reorganizing the plants, then I can do a plant tour, an updated plant tour for the new year, and you can see what the collection now looks like since I last did my plant tour. I have now more plants in Las Vegas, and the collection is still thriving with my crazy schedule. So hope this inspires you to add a little more green in your space, and I can't wait to see what my new plant year will be like, what the plant babies will look like in the next upcoming year with my schedule, and if there will be any new cool plants I come across to add to the collection. If you're new, welcome to the channel. Subscribe for daily uploads between the main channel and the vlog channel. You get a video each and every day. Grandma, any last words you want to say to the 12 plant babies we highlighted in today's video?
Well, with what you've been doing, vending and, you know, going to different places to vend, I think, you know, not 100%, but at least over 85% they're still thriving.
Yes.
You know, so we're happy for that.
Yeah, because I have not been at home lately. Like, if you guys watch the vlog channel, you know I have not really been home with the collection, and this is the first time since I have such a huge collection where I'm not really at home and living in 2 different states and traveling for the vlog channel. And I did 91 pop-ups this year with the shop and traveling with the shop. The collection, I'm really happy with the way how the plants survived, and you know, the few casualties is very unfortunate, but I try to look on the bright side and at least celebrate the ones that are doing well. So hope this gives you a little inspiration to maybe add a few of these plants, whether they're rare or common plants. I did give a variety, I feel like, of plants here. I want to say they're more on the rare side, but there's a few plants I highlighted in this year's plant awards that are also common in my part of the world, and it may be different if you live in another part of the world. These may be very common for you, but it was very fun to sit down and do our annual Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards, to have Grandma here as a special guest. And I just wanted to highlight all 12 of them without pinning any awards because of my crazy schedule this year. They are all winners in our eyes. And all of the plants also that are not highlighted in today's collection, Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards, you guys know they are also winners in my eyes too. I could just be sitting here all day if we pin every single plant. But they definitely do deserve an award for surviving this year. So I will see you next year for our annual Planting with Jewelyn Plant Awards. Until then, you can find daily uploads on both of the channels. We're signing off here from beautiful
Santa Monica,
California. Aloha, Happy New Year, happy planting. Bye.